from the studios of KEYC Television Mankato. This is KEYC News 12 at 6.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. If you drove Old Highway 14 before the bypass, you knew you were in Janesville because of the grain bins bearing the town's name. But
their days could be numbered. KEYC News 12's Joel Runk explains why.
If you drive into Janesville from the west, you can't miss them.
Make Janesville kind of stand out, I guess, just because people go, oh, that's the one with the grain bins.
And while you can't miss them from the road, some residents in the town say they'll certainly miss them when they're gone.
I would just miss them because they've been there forever, ever since I was a little girl, and it's one of those things that is part of my heritage growing up.
The land the bins are on belongs to Frank Goller. A recent storm damaged some of the structures. And while he declined to appear on camera today, Goller says the bins are far too damaged to spend money and fix up. He adds over the years, there have been no county or city funds to help with costs either. Other than decorative purposes, the grain bins aren't used for anything else, and Goller says he's planning to have the structures removed by the end of August.
I can understand him taking them down. To repair those bins would be costly, and I think if we're just going to take them down for the sake of taking them down, that'd be one thing, but since some of them were destroyed, it's probably the right time to do it.
This is the original first picture, just on paper.
And if there's one person in the town who knows the bins, it's Paula Arndt. With their artwork, she's documented their every step with a personal collection.
It's an actual file on the grain bins.
Arndt was one of the organizers who garnered people to help paint the bins over the years.
And we started out by doing the rainbows on them, and then we repainted them a couple of times after that. And then someone in town suggested that we have them match the new water tower. And so we proceeded to paint them over.
And while Goller is planning to remove the bins, for Arndt, the memories of the grain bins, from the rainbow to now, will stay with her. Filed away.
It's going to be kind of like, oh my gosh, they're not there anymore. However, we'll live. And, maybe we'll come up with some better thought.
A thought and a file of memories. In Janesville, Joel Runk, KEYC News 12.
The Janesville City Administrator says those bins are technically outside city limits and the city has no plans on intervening. Calls to Waseca County officials weren't returned. The landowner says he plans to use the land for commercial purposes.
Turning now to Mark, who's standing by in the Weather Center. The humidity on the way in, huh, Mark?
Hey, it's on the way up, yeah, especially as we close out the work week and travel into the weekend, accompanied by the potential of heavy rain. Let's begin off the top here with weather control and a live look outside, courtesy of our carsoup.com sky cam. This is the view in North Mankato right now. It's a mix of sun and clouds, everybody on the dry side across southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. As for temperature readings, we're sitting on the mild side, 70s and low 80s showing up. 81 right now in both Winnebago and Fairmont, 73 in Mankato and Waseca, 73 St. Peter, and 79 degrees in St. James. On Storm Tracker 12 live radar, it's quite quiet for now, but that's going to begin to change as early as tomorrow with some rain showers and a possible thunderstorm reach out to us. I'll have the latest rainfall potential into the weekend, plus your 7-day forecast straight ahead.
All right, thanks, Mark. Crews and property owners are still assessing the damage from last week's storms.
That damage includes a substantial mudslide at the historic Glenwood Cemetery in Mankato. KEYC News 12's Ashley Hanley reports.
When you take a drive by Glenwood Cemetery, you'll undoubtedly notice the beautiful scenery on top of the hill. But when you take a glance down the hill, you'll now see this.
It was kind of a shock to see that, because nothing like this apparently has ever happened before.
And while the heavy amounts of rainfall did cause some physical damage to the cemetery, officials say the nearly 2,000 to 3,000 grave sites remain mostly unharmed.
I don't think they need to worry about anything. As you can see, this is just an open area. There are no graves and never will be on the slope part.
And crews were on scene to see if they can fix the now muddy hillside that stands about 30 feet away from the nearest grave site.
What I'm going to try to do is just put the dirt back in place, try to compact it a little bit.
And at a place where loved ones come to gather and reflect, a little extra assurance.
I do just want to reassure people that I don't think there's going to be any further problem, and I think we're going to be able to take care of this.
Taking care of those near and dear at their final resting place. In Mankato, Ashley Hanley, KEYC, News 12.
New images from the flooding in Waterville with a little help from a local photographer and his drone. That drone GoPro combo captured these images of the flooded neighborhoods in Waterville earlier in the week, capturing the damage in a much grand scale. The photographer, John Smithers, says it's the worst flooding he's ever seen.
I mean, there's a lot underwater, and you can see from the air, you can see the sidewalks, you can see the streets, you can see the grass. Grass is still green under there. You know, it's just like amazing. And there's a lot of homes in serious situation, you know, full of water.
The city of Waterville will hold an informational meeting in regard to that flooding tomorrow night at the high school auditorium. That meeting starts at 7:30 p.m.
Like many in the community, the Children's Museum of Southern Minnesota lost some things in the recent flooding. While awaiting the new location's opening in 2015, the museum stored items in a facility that fell victim to the flooding, costing the museum thousands of dollars in inventory. Board members went through the items trying to salvage what they could, but future exhibit components, furnishings, building materials, and supplies were destroyed. Staff members say the things lost in the floodwaters had sentimental value.
Had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations about how do we move forward, and the number one thing that's come up is that we aren't going to let us slow this down. It's a rallying point for all of us involved in the museum to just double down and work twice as hard.
The museum's board is holding an emergency meeting this Friday to figure out where to go from here. If you're interested in donating, you can visit our website, KEYC.com. Rising floodwaters have forced Valley Fair Amusement Park in Shakopee to close 3 rides. The park has shut down the Renegade, Excalibur, and Thunder Canyon thrill rides. The main parking lot is affected, so Valley Fair is waiving the $12 parking fee. The spokesman emphasizes that Valley Fair and its water park are open and have been open all week.
As Mankato mops up from the flooding, officials are warning folks to be aware of home repair scams. City officials are being proactive, and they hope residents who've experienced flood damages will take the necessary precautions when hiring a contractor or utility representative.
If there's no permit pulled and there's some issues down the line, the insurance company themselves may come in and say, hey, this wasn't done properly years ago. It's not our issue.
He also urges you to call if you've been contacted by a scammer. The number 507-387-8547. Nicollet County emergency management officials want people who experienced any type of flood damage to complete an assessment. They want that survey to help provide a picture of what kind of damages have happened throughout the county. They're asking for those affected to report flooded basements, crop damage, or damaged roads.
Some areas received a lot more water or rain than others did, and so we just figured, you know, it's just, again, a good overall comprehensive picture of the damage that Nicollet County has received, you know, throughout the area.
To fill out a survey, you can visit our website, KEYC.com, or contact Nicollet County Emergency Management at 507-934-7874.
After touring much of the state's flood damage, Senator Al Franken says he thinks the state will meet the threshold needed for a federal disaster declaration. The senator saying today if state infrastructure damage exceeds $7.4 million, President Obama will most likely get the ball rolling on federal aid.
There are 2 kinds of aid. One is for public infrastructure, and the other is for individual damage. The public infrastructure one is, as I said, once we get over the 7.4 million, then we get about 75% of the damages paid for by the federal government.
Senator Franken says it's not likely the state will qualify for that individual aid, though people do have some other options. Some state aid is available along with federal low-interest loans.
Time for weather now, and Mark, we've been enjoying the sunshine. Those rivers are still pretty high. Kind of worried about some of this rain that may be coming.
Yeah, they're still receding for today and most likely for tomorrow, but there is more rain on the way for Thursday, Friday, going into the weekend, so we may see more issues here with flooding going into the upcoming weekend. In the meantime, here's a look at our time lapse from today in St. Peter at Gustavus Adolphus College. We had a lot of low clouds around lunchtime, but a lot of those clouds tending to melt away, revealing a good deal of sunshine on this Wednesday. And the best news of all, everybody staying dry for the daylight hours of today. As we check out the backyard forecast for this evening, if you're stepping out, looks good weather-wise. We'll see temperature readings hovering right around 70 with a mix of sun and clouds. There is the grill. Throw a burger on for me. I'll be over. All right, let's take a look at the situation with our weather headlines. We are tracking higher humidity now for the rest of the week going into the upcoming weekend. Dew points will be close to 70 for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so very humid. A stormy setup for the next several days, starting tomorrow going into the weekend. The potential for some real rainfall. We may put down several inches of rain. I'll have that latest rainfall potential in just a minute. As you can see, everybody's staying on the dry side across Minnesota and northern Iowa for today. But just off to our west, some showers and thunderstorms beginning to percolate. It's that activity out here that will tag us by tomorrow with a threat for a shower or thunderstorm in the morning and then possibly another round by the afternoon. And yes, that humid weather will be on the increase as we close out the week, traveling into the upcoming weekend. Latest rainfall potential tomorrow going into the weekend. Most of us, the potential of 1 to 3 inches of additional rain with 1 to 2 inches likely just off to the south. Of course, we'll update this map once again for you tomorrow right here. As we see what's going on right now in Mankato, it's a partly cloudy sky. It's all dry, 73 degrees. North winds on the light side at 3 miles per hour. Here's a look at more temperature readings. We're at 77 now in Albert Lee, 75 in Owatonna, in the low 80s in Fairmont at 81. 73 Mankato, 77 degrees in Windham, and currently in the mid-80s in Worthington at 84. Let's break down the forecast now in detail for tonight. Partly cloudy, a gentle breeze from the northeast, and low temperature readings right around 60 by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. Now for tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a shower or storm for the morning. Once again for the afternoon, highs approaching 76, which is just a little bit below average for this time of the year. And as we plan ahead for the next 7 days, Friday, a chance for afternoon showers, highs in the mid-80s, but very steamy, very humid. And then for the weekend, periods of heavy rain, possibly a strong to severe storm on Saturday. More storms on Sunday with highs in the low 80s, and it looks like leftover storms on Monday before we finally begin to clear it out by Tuesday and Wednesday. That's when we bring back a good deal of sunshine. But in the meantime, Thursday going into the weekend, we could see anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain and more flooding. We'll update that rainfall potential all new at 10.